Today, I'm going to be showing you guys 10 block palettes that you can use in your Minecraft builds. Also, can you guys shut up about my voice, please? Thanks. So what exactly is a block palette? I would describe it as simply a collection of blocks that look good together in a build. This can be done with complementary colors and textures. In fact, you've probably been using certain block palettes in your builds to begin with. Some common ones include the wood cobblestone one, the turn of the century building ones, and the modern one. I tried to pick weirder and less common ones so that your builds can really stand out. We're going to be starting with actually my favorite block palette, which I like to call the warm palette because of all these warm colors. It can also be called the tropical palette or the jungle palette because it works really well in a jungle or tropical setting. So for this one, we actually have two bases. There's your typical gray stone, and then there's your brick and andesite combination. For your main, you have a lot of, again, really warm colors. You got the brown, you got the orange. Basically, all of these colors complement each other very nicely, especially the stripped spruce and the stripped acacia. These ones work really well together. Then over here, you got more yellow kind of. These are used less frequently, but can still really help your build. And then you got leaves, the green. Now for your accent, you got different shades of yellow and orange, with the honey blocks, the shroom lights, and the pumpkins. You also got different shades of green with the melons and the kelp. You got diamond blocks, which are interesting. Blue can really help contrast all this warm color, and when used correctly, this one can really help. Same with the pink terracotta. If you want to see this palette used really nicely, I definitely recommend checking out Etho's lab. In his Hermitcraft series, he uses this block palette very nicely. But I too wanted to try to make my own instead of just being lazy and not doing it. So we're actually going to have to hop into the magical portal and take us to a different land where I built something for this. Alright, and here we are. This is what I built. It's kind of like a... Actually, I don't know what this is. Yeah, check this out. When you're walking through, the atmosphere in this palette is amazing. But you've got your melons, your kelp and such. Then you've got this chandelier thing. Honestly, I don't even know what I was doing here. But I didn't use diamond blocks in here just because I didn't think I couldn't find anywhere to put them. So that's this one. If you need to go back and look at it, just feel free to pause the video. But let's go on to the second one. And we're back. Now this palette I call the Classic Revival because it's a mixture of your kind of generic turn of the century stone brick buildings, but also mixed with this modern taste. I really like this one because of how the old grainy textures contrast the smooth green ones really well. I don't know, this one's certainly weird, but I like it. For the base, you have your stone bricks. Your main two are going to be your bricks and your lime concrete. Really any color can work through this, but I just think lime works the best because red and green on the color scale are contrasting colors, so that means they complement each other really well when used like this. For your accents, you got a whole bunch of different blocks. But without that texture pack on, the note blocks really work well. These are definitely really underrated blocks. You got dark oak I use for the doors, and then you got acacia, which I use for this kind of awning thing. That's this one. Here's a palette in case you need to catch it. I don't know what I was doing with this building. I was just trying to make weird futuristic shapes. But yeah, there's a building that I built. Oh, but this is a fun one. This one I just called a Nether one because, well, Nether blocks. And you'll never believe where this one would be best used. It's in the Nether, in case you didn't realize. But yeah, you've got your base blocks, basalt, blackstone. Nothing too special. These ones are commonly used there. Now these ones, this just gets interesting. You're probably like, what? Leaves? Blue? All these random colors? Basically, I'm not really a fan of the whole kind of Nether red, black kind of stuff. It just looks really dark and boring. So I tried to spice it up with some of these colors, and you'll see that in the build that I'll be showing you. For your main, you got your warp stuff. There's shroom lights and sea lanterns for light. You got nether brick. For your accents, more blackstone. You got these vines, which look pretty cool. Then yeah, you got your spruce leaves. Yeah, we're actually going to have to go back into the magical portal, but we're going to go into a different one this time. Alright, j'arrive. And here it is. Now you can see what I was talking about with the spruce and the warped. I think it looks really well. This kind of, the black contrasts very nicely with this blue cool color. But here's this build. Again, I didn't really do the sides. There's not much on the other side either, except that. So there's another building. This one can really help spice up your builds a bit. Now this next one, I have to give credit where credit is due. This was made by the aforementioned Ethos lab, again in his Hermitcraft world. If you're not watching him, you should really go do it. But he used this build palette, which is just remarkable. Like, just look at this. You wouldn't think these blocks work together, but they do so well. You have your base of wood, it's kind of brownish. Your main textures, these kind of pink and purple. And then your accents of melon blocks, prismarine, and jungle leaves. Weird block, but they somehow work really nicely. Then over here you got accent, jungle, and sandstone. Now you can go check out what he built on his series, but I tried to build my own thing. And what I've ended up building is this kind of bar, I guess. I don't know what this is. You have your prismarine floor, you have these as kind of your main colors. Use trapdoors as well. Yeah, see, the melons, they contrast really nicely with the kind of pinkish right here. Yeah, this is how I used all these. You got your tables and stuff. Oh, 10 epic points if you get this reference, by the way. Yeah, but as you can see, these colors somehow work really nicely with each other. So this is definitely a weird one, but a really good weird one. This next one, I don't know what you call it, so I'm just going to show you it. This one uses the contrast between blue and orange a lot in this, as you can see in the building I'm going to show you in a sec. You've got a standard kind of dark oak trim right there. Your main is your red sandstone. Your accents, these ones can change a little bit. They work best with warm colors, but they can really be used with anything. You can use jungle, you can use white terracotta, I think this is, yeah. You can also use red or yellow, but then in order to contrast all these warm colors, you've got dark prismarine and your warped. So I'll show you what I did with the build over here. Again, standard stuff. You can see what I'm talking about. These can really be interchanged with mostly anything. The warped kind of trim sort of, and the warped roof. Again, you can see how these contrast really nicely. This one kind of works well in this Asian, Japanese kind of style, I think. Lots of warm colors, contrasting very nicely with the cool colors. Next up, you got what I call the hipster color palette, because it's a color palette you see most often in those kind of gentrified warehouse buildings that you see a lot in Rust Belt cities, and I guess Manchester in England. It's kind of a very modern one that works really well with brick, especially. I don't know, hipsters like it, moving into those buildings and stuff. But for this, you've got your main, which is, can't tell if this is, oh, white concrete. Standard modern one. And you got your brick. This is where that kind of abandoned warehouse feel comes from. But you got spruce wood and you got barrels, which I'll show you how this works in a second. And you've got your contrast. Again, lots of warm colors. Need some cool stuff to complement it. Dark prismarine, which has been used extensively in most of these buildings, I'm realizing. Sea lanterns, and then again jungle leaves, which have also been used extensively in a lot of these buildings. I'm actually going to have to head into the magical Minecraft bedrock portal, because that's where I built one of these. If I can get in. Knock knock. Hello. Here we are in Minecraft bedrock, because I'm too lazy to build this in Java. You got your brick right here. Again, the white concrete, common and modern stuff. You can see what I was talking about with the carpet right here. Here's where it gets interesting. This is what I was talking about with the spruce. Got the beams right there. There's leaves, which are used a lot, especially up here. It's kind of like office. I don't know what this is. It all blends really nicely together, which is surprising, actually. So here's the building right here. Pause, you can get a nice screenshot. This is actually based off a real apartment I saw, and I really liked it. So I tried to recreate it in Minecraft, and here it is. Alright, here's a funky one. This one I like to call the fantasy one. Standard gray stuff. Nice dark oak trim, as you can see. There's actually a whole bunch of different blocks that you can use, as evident in this. There's a more pink kind of. There's a more blue and orange. Again, contrasting stuff. Bone blocks, actually. These are also very underrated. The texture on them is very nice. Now, here's what I built. I actually just snapped this from a survival world that I had. You got your pink at the bottom, your blue and orange right there, and then birch, actually, I didn't include that. I'll replace it with this. There we go. Fixed. You guys can probably build something cooler than this. This is kind of half-baked, as you can tell, because I just stole it. This one I call the ocean one, because it works really well in an ocean setting. There's your blue, kind of standard. Again, spruce leaves surprisingly work really well. And then to contrast all the cold blue, once again, orange. And then you got your pinks over here and your purples. There's really not much I can say about this one, but let me just show you what I've built with them. Alright, Shed Reef. Here we are. You really see how these work in an underwater sort of setting. You got your pink, which is used as more of an accent color in this kind of situation, but also very prominent. I've kind of divided these into three like little mini biomes. Over here you got your reds. I used red sand instead of acacia. Again, these blocks can be switched out with other similar blocks, so don't think that you have to use those exact ones in your builds, because it really depends on what you're building. Up here you can see you got your spruce leaves hanging from the ceiling. And then I also use this kind of mini palette over here. I use this kind of sunset gradient thing in this kind of snow biome, and yeah, what even is in snow tundra? So I just put these there to fill up space. So yeah, these warm colors actually work really well in an underwater setting. Alright, as we get near the end, these color palettes definitely get weirder and weirder. Here we have kind of a cyberpunk, sort of. I wanted to use purple in one of these because I like this block actually. I know a lot of people don't. I think it can work. It just has to be used correctly. But it's used as the base in this kind of example, along with bone blocks. For your main, you have cyan terracotta as well as this blue. For your accents, you got a whole bunch of different random blocks. There's warped planks, there's sea lanterns, there's crimson wood, and then yellow wool. Now you wouldn't normally think these blocks would work well together, but when used in a situation like this, in this very cool cyberpunkish bedroom, I think it works very nice. I use the main blocks as a floor color because they're darker than the rest of the blocks, so they work better on the floor. Bone blocks on the wall, as well as purple blocks for an accent color to the wall. And then I use the crimson stems as an accent to the accent. Got your yellow bed and your crimson trapdoors, a warped closet over here. Again, a lot of different colors that all work very nicely together. Now, you may love this, you may hate this one. If you hate it, that's your loss. Stripped spruce, stripped warped honeycomb blocks, and jungle leaves again. For trim, you have dark oak and lapis actually. And then your other accent is the pink, which I've used quite a bit in those other ones. And you can see parts of different palettes all being combined into one mega Frankenstein palette basically. And here it is, in use. Again, you might love it, you might hate it. I love it just because of how weird it is. What we've got going on here is like a little shrine to the one true god, Wildflower by the Avalanches. You got your darker colors on the floor, this purple and the blue. There's the warped again as another wall color. The honeycomb blocks are used as kind of like a wall accent back here. You got your lapis blocks. They're subtle, but they work very nicely, I think. Dark oak again, and then you just got leaves from the ceiling to make it feel more open than it actually is, even though it's really not. But I think it helps. Anyway, those are 10 block palettes that you can use in your Minecraft builds. Hopefully this helped you, and hopefully you get some inspiration for what to build. If you do end up building something cool with any of these, I don't know, good for you, I guess. Bye.